Ethos of Silence.
A veteran podcast aims to amplify the voices of veterans, creating a safe space for authentic conversations about their experiences, challenges, and triumphs. We seek to break the stigma surrounding mental health and foster community support, resilience, and understanding. Through storytelling, expert insights, and candid discussions, we strive to inspire healing, promote awareness, and empower veterans on their journeys.
Welcome. All right. Welcome back to Ethos of Silence.
Welcome
Tim
back.
here hosting, and got my number one road dog over here.
What's up?
KG.
Kevin with you. Happy holidays. How's everybody doing?
I hear you. We're going to jump into a silence. This is going to be 1.0. We haven't done a silence yet.
Let's do this.
An interesting thing that I'm going to tell you about silence that kind of hints on broken is you can tell how broken somebody still is about a tragic event that they've went through, right? A trauma event, by how much profanity they use to describe the said event.
I cannot disagree with that.
All right, because whenever a military member has a lack of vocabulary to describe something, we start using adjectives that are they mostly have 4 letters. Sometimes they have a little more, and yeah. So this was my very last deployment in Afghanistan. There was a Huey coming back from a mission, and it lands on the other side of a HESCO barrier. And when it touches down, the weapon has a malfunction, and the 50 cal, the door gunner, lets loose I don't know how many rounds in the HESCO barrier between me and the aircraft I'm working on and where they landed, probably, I don't know, maybe 150 feet away. So
Lands is coming in next to you.
it's coming in next to me.
Next to you.
The HESCO barrier, right? So
Tell us what the HESCO barrier is again.
HESCO barrier. Well, I mean, you were an engineer. Basically, what they are is they're these huge sandbags, right? And they fill them with sand, and it makes barriers around everything, right?
Yeah.
So they do those, and they have large cement walls as well. We have large cement walls between all the aircrafts in case a bomb actually accidentally goes off. We only blow up that one aircraft. It minimizes the impact of where everything goes. Even though it's a 500-pound bomb, it'll minimize the impact, make all the blast radius come back in. It's all
kind of contains that blast,
engineered and contained, and all the aircrafts are spaced out enough between each other to where you minimize your losses, right?
Yeah.
The same thing in case in case one of these random mortar attacks or random little rockets that they decide they're gonna put the trigger on ice and pull the trigger and then put a RPG on the end of it and set it up on a rock, and whenever the trigger melts, the rocket's magically gonna take off and hopefully it hits somebody or something, right?
Yeah.
They have a bunch of crazy ways of doing that. So
you got to remember, I went in the cowboy year, so we didn't have a lot of that high tech stuff. Even though that's not very high tech at all.
No.
We didn't even have that. We had little sand berms. Anyways, so you're telling me that you're doing your job. You're in the back, and rounds are coming flying at you.
I'm doing my job, and rounds are flying at the HESCO barrier between me and the other aircraft. Right. So I've got the barrier. I've got the blast wall for the Harrier that I'm working on, and then on the other side of the blast wall, they've got the HESCO barriers. And the HESCO barriers, they're all over the flight line. They're all over the place for like different things. Well, the helos have a HESCO barrier around where they land, right? Well, whenever that helo touches down, so there was no chance that the bullets were actually going to come over the HESCO barrier. I mean, possibly shoot through it because of shooting, all the rounds into it. There's definitely a large chance that 50 cal rounds, same exact spot.
These aren't light rounds.
No. But basically what happens is the aircraft touches down and they say there was a trigger malfunction, and he unloaded 50 rounds into the fucking HESCO barrier between me and fucking aircrafts. And here I am, I'm out there with 2 of my Marines working on a fucking comm gripe, and we're out there on the ground, and you just hear the 50 cal light up and just start mowing, You don't know what the hell's going on. But
You're thinking your life is done at that
Oh
point.
yeah, at that point,
you're
know,
waiting for the round to come and get you.
You're waiting for the round to come and get you. You curl up in the biggest ball you can possible.
What's it going to look like when it hits me at this moment? Everything slows real down.
Yeah, but you curl up and you're looking around with your eyes trying to picture where the sound's coming from and where all this shit's coming from, because you got your little retarded ass cranial and ear hearing protection, all this other different stuff on because of aircrafts out on the flight line and stuff like that. And we're out there working on this comm gripe. And out of nowhere, you hear this. Everybody just kind of hits the ground, and we're kind of looking around for where it came from. And I mean, it wasn't until, it must have. It was in a blink of an eye, man. It must have been over in about 2 minutes. It didn't take long. It felt like forever. Time slowed down. Mm-hmm. Like you could see the wings on the flies flying around. Like it's trauma. It's trauma. It's trauma.
It's 100%.
It's trauma.
You're stressing a part of your brain, and a part of your organs and everything that you have to work your normal day-to-day with. They're put under massive amounts of stress.
Yeah,
and you feel it. It's nothing that just goes, "Oh, it's done." No. You experience that that part of death. It's a gruesome thought of that. One of the what do they carry? I mean, imagine those rounds on those helicopters they're not small rounds.
No,
this is huge
no,
rounds.
those are 50 caliber rounds, man.
Yeah,
That's not a little gun.
It's one thing to pull off the side of the road, miss the curve, or get into a car wreck. This is ammo flying at you, blow you to pieces.
Yeah.
This is a gruesome death.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's why they're engineered to fly and land around the HESCO barriers in case different stuff like that happens and all this other different stuff. But I mean, just because the safeties are in place doesn't make the experience any less traumatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's crazy to
No, that's a feeling, man.
To go through and have those feelings, and just you have a different understanding for the way things work. And then after something like that happens, you have a different, like, everything tastes different. You can you can experience things in life that you never realized were as grand as what they were.
A car wreck doesn't seem so bad when you compare it to that, for sure.
But every trauma is this, like, your brain does the same thing for every trauma. And that's the one thing I had to stop and understand. Like, just because my trauma is a trauma that happened during a wartime and is war related, it doesn't take away anything from somebody else who's also had a traumatic experience and they're trying to cope and deal with it the same. I mean, they also don't have the tools to compartmentalize shit that I do from being in the Marine Corps and being yelled at for 3 months and called the scum of the earth. They don't have the mental fortitude that I developed from becoming a Marine to deal with the type of stuff, right? So just because I have the mental fortitude to deal with stuff on a higher level doesn't take away the fact of them still having
I don't know. I don't
something
care.
happening.
I mean, don't care how many tough guys talk about what situations they've been in, whether they're SEALs or whether whatever experience they've been in, or I'm just using SEALs, the HESCO barrier with you or whatever mine, it changes you.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt it changes you.
It's nothing. It's something you carry with you. It doesn't just get deleted.
But that's every trauma. I mean, every even civilians have that same thing. They can go through a trauma, and the brain does what it can to protect you, and that's why everything's so foggy. It's because the brain protects you with the fog of what's going on. And it takes you a while to be able to describe a scenario without cussing, without getting into it, without blowing up. And you know that you've healed from something whenever you can tell the story to yourself over and over again without saying, that motherfucking aircraft almost killed me. This bitch is coming in like a bat out of fucking hell, hits the goddamn ground, has a motherfucking weapon malfunction, and unfucking loads into this HESCO barrier. Just unloads.
When you can, I get.
When you can
tell
stop
yourself that different story,
and you can tell yourself that story, you can break down, you can slow it down, and you can slow it down in your mind the same way it slowed down why it was happening. Have the conversation, explain terminology of what things are, what a door gunner is, sitting in a Huey, coming in, and a weapon malfunctions, and just unloads into a HESCO barrier.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even a scenario you're even preparing for or even trained for.
No.
It's your mug that's out there, and that would have been it. That would have been the one that could have got me.
Yeah.
No, there's no amount of there's amount of compartmentalizing it. After a few of them, it gets kind of comedic. There was one personal one. I have a few stories I'll share. And
well, I mean, we'll get into individual stories and individual segments. Sure. But how do you cope? How do you heal with something that's happened from that? Right. So,
for sure.
So with the fact of me, you can ask me that question. You know, we're talking what techniques have I used to heal from what I have going on? Because we're talking about my scenario.
This is what I want to know. I mean, after that, where did you guys go from that? Did you change anything? I was given nothing. I didn't change anything from the day to day. I had to pretend like it's a normal occurrence for my Marines for them to think that nothing was going on and then to go back to fucking work. Oh, okay. It's like that. Yeah. So they needed to see you going back to work.
Well, it's leadership.
Sure.
It's leadership in the moment. Mm-hmm. Leadership in the moment. What the fuck y'all think y'all doing on the ground? We still got an aircraft to fix.
Yeah. Right.
This comm gripe ain't going to fix itself.
Right. Let's go.
Right? In the midst of it, right? Checking yourself.
Yeah. Nobody saw me do that.
Right?
Get back to work. Yeah. Meanwhile, you're wondering if you turn 16 shades of
that's
colors.
real time what happened. The aftermath is of sitting with yourself, analyzing what happened, and telling yourself that that's not what was supposed to happen. Reminding yourself of what was supposed to happen and that it is a fluke incident and that you're still here to tell people about it. So by the grace of God, me and everybody around me was blessed in that scenario. Since I'm blessed to move forward, I shouldn't let this burden me.
Cup half full.
And the more you can look at things cup half full, the more you can explain a scenario without cursing, the more you can take a breath and enjoy the things around you, the more it allows you to move forward.
Scenarios after that of enjoyment can kind of reflect off of that and seem a little bit better.
Yeah, I have a personal problem. My personal problem is that I don't like letting, and I'm working on it, I really am, but it is really hard for me to smile and have a good time and let loose because I believe that everything lives on a spectrum. And if I get too happy, I'm going to let the darkness get me too sad. And that is a personal belief that I have that I need to shake the hell out, and I don't know where I got it from. Somebody somewhere put that in my head, and I believe it to a T. And it's a huge fault because I've been in traumatizing scenarios since the military that I have not been able to cope with appropriately because I don't feel their adequate level of pain as if they actually existed.
There's nothing you can compare to in life that.
And then I've been through amazing scenarios to where my happiness I should be happier than what I am right now. What is wrong with me? And what is wrong with me is the fact that I've told myself through these traumas that if I get too happy or I get too sad, I'm letting my emotions control me and I have to control my emotions. But that's not the way emotions work.
Right.
You're not supposed to control them. You're supposed to...
should have a safe place to be.
You should have a place to express them. Now, it's okay to shelter your loved ones from seeing you express them in a unhealthy manner, right?
Exactly.
Right. Sure. But the fact to never express them is a problem. And I never express them. And that's a problem. And I know it's a problem. And I need to work with myself on trying to figure out how to fix that issue. But as far as being able to cope with things that have happened around me, it's exactly what I told you. So it that's my biggest problem, my biggest fear, my biggest thing of trying to figure out is how do I cope with the things around me that are going on now, because everything that's happened in the past, I've got it securely locked away, but it's securely locked away because I don't experience the highs or lows of what I've got going on now.
It's still weighted. It's still a weight.
Yeah. So it may not be an anvil, but it's not a feather. It's not a feather yet.
It's just what you said. It's still in there, in that little cycle of spectrum that you go around on a day-to-day that the normal civilian life experiences revolves around that spectrum. And everyone experiences those emotions of the spectrum from day-to-day life. Yeah. But you as a soldier, you've got a spot in there. It's a little black spot.
You lucky, I like you. I'll let you get away with that soldier comment.
Did you go away? That's true. You should have just said thank you. Oh. Yeah. But it's that black spot, right?
Yeah.
And you avoid it.
Yeah.
And it's not it's nothing so passively that you can't get around.
So,
it's like a briar patch.
So I like to think it of an upper and lower lateral limit, and I don't let myself get too happy or too sad, because if I extend outside those lateral limits, I know I'm gonna break the chains of the box. If I get too happy, I'm gonna break the chain off the fucking box. If I get too fucking sad, I'm gonna break the chain off the box, and I am scared of what's in that fucking box. I told you one thing that I understand and that I got, but I mean there's a million things I don't understand and I don't have that are in there, and I feel that if I ever get too happy or too sad, that box is gonna break open.
Right.
And I've been told by people that that's not true, but I don't believe you. No, I only trust people so much.
I think they're just telling you that. I mean, it can't happen, and it should. And what I'm gonna say is, it should happen, but it should happen in a place where you can allow that to happen.
Yeah,
and there's spaces that have to be cleared. And I remember one of my come loose moments. That could have been just one little thing that nudged up against that little black box.
Yeah,
and I sat on my property alone up against a building weeping, as in finding wet spots down the side of my face.
I hear you.
There's a moment you need to have.
Yeah. I'm aware that there's moments that I should have, and there's moments since I've been out that I should have experienced and things. And there's moments that I was in that I should have experienced things at a higher or lower level that I haven't, because of the control limits I've put on my trauma.
But they're coming. Where do you want them to happen at? That's where you can still control that.
Well, that's
between you and God.
That's part of this journey in this community that
Yes,
I hope
is.
I can help other people come up with how to safely make this happen.
I appreciate you sharing that, Tim. That does have great value immensely.
You got any final words?
No, thanks for tuning in, guys. And thanks for being part of the community.
This is all part of Iron and Sharpen Iron.
Cool.
I could not have gotten half of this stuff out without Kevin here helping me out, and that's Iron Sharpening Iron there, you know. Please subscribe and follow us. Leave us a comment. Tell us what we can do better.
Yeah. Look forward to hearing from you guys. If you need more information on veterans benefits, please visit our website at vfwpost4224.org. That's Victor Foxtrot Whiskey, post4224.org. All of our contact information is in the description of the video. Please email us if you have any questions. We now have a moment of silent prayer for those still in the battle, for our departed comrades, for those missing in action, and for those held as prisoners of war.